Hello. Welcome back to our podcast. We're super excited to have you. Thank you for all listening in. This week's episode, we're going to talk about menopause and how that affects physical and mental well-being. And I'll let Bridget take it from here and, define that for others who, may have not gone through that yet.
Okay, so welcome back, guys. So, we're just going to kick off our menopause discussion with some of the physical health sides. Menopause can be an extremely challenging time for people and their families. So, we just want to talk about symptoms, treatment, and how it affects our mood. Unfortunately, it is, like a women's health thing. So, people don't really talk about it a lot, and that's a bit unfair. So, no one knows really what is normal. So, we'll just talk about it. So, menopause describes the time in our lives when we undergo hormonal changes that permanently stop our periods. So it's a retrograde diagnosis, which means it's a diagnosis made after the fact. So once you go 12 months in a row without a period, we say that's menopause. The average age is 51, but symptoms start, we call perimenopause. So that's leading up to menopause. And that can last for years, approximately 2 to 8 years prior to menopause. And the symptoms of menopause can last for years after menopause as well, meaning you can have hot flashes for 5 years after you've gone through menopause. So perimenopause is the 2 to 8 year period prior to menopause when we have irregular and unpredictable menstruation, hormonal fluctuations, and other symptoms of menopause. So this time is very unpredictable for a lot of women because they are still bleeding. They're only in their 40s, so they still feel like they're young and they have a lot of vitality, but they always describe it the same. They're always like, listen, doc, like I feel like I'm 13 again. Like I don't know how to predict my period, or like I'm soaking through pads and a tampon and maybe like bled through my outfit. And like I just feel like a kid who doesn't know what they're doing. Like I've been managing my period for years, decades, and now all of a sudden it's like back with a vengeance. Like what is happening? So that is kind of like the hallmark of perimenopause. It's horrible. I don't know what else to say about it. Like it sucks, but it is normal and you're not alone. And if it's troublesome, you should definitely speak to your doctor because there are some options out there for you. So let's talk about the symptoms of menopause. So symptoms include unusually light or very heavy periods. Like I just said, it becomes very unpredictable. A change in period frequency. So you might have 2 periods 1 month and then you'll skip a period altogether for 2 or 3 months in a row. Anxiety, low mood, irritability, skin changes like adult acne or unusually dry skin. So it feels very much like a puberty again. Difficulty sleeping, discomfort during sex, loss of self, hair loss or thinning, headaches or migraines, hot flashes, facial hair, joint stiffness, aches and pains, loss of self confidence, night sweats, palpitations, brain fog or memory changes, recurrent UTIs. So, the recurrent UTIs and the urge and stress incontinence are due to reduced estrogen, reduced libido, tinnitus. So, tinnitus or tinnitus, depends where you're from, who says it which way, is basically that constant ringing in your ears. It's absolutely horrendous. There's usually no treatment for it. It can come and go. Vaginal dryness and pain. So that is an insane list of symptoms. And these are all really common, frequently reported symptoms. So most women experience a few or all of these throughout the menopause process, which, like I said, it's like a decade of changes. So menopause also increases your likelihood of developing osteoporosis, especially in Caucasian and Asian women and very thin women. It also increases your risk of cardiac disease. So as it turns out, estrogen is a wonder drug. It's amazing. And when it decreases with age and loss of ovarian function, we become more susceptible to cardiac diseases that tend to plague men, like hypertension, heart failure, coronary artery disease. So when you go through menopause, you really need to be aware that you need to see your primary care physician and you need your annual blood pressure checks. You need to have your lipids taken, because you're now out of the protection zone of estrogen, and you
Yeah.
very likely will develop, high blood pressure or cardiac disease as you age. So it's really important to see your primary care physician and have these things checked.
So we know during menopause, there are hormonal shifts, particularly the decline in estrogen levels. This can have profound effects on mood and regulation and cognitive function. I know Bridget was talking about how estrogen is like this miracle thing, and she's right, because estrogen plays a key role in neurotransmitter activity in the brain, including serotonin, which regulates mood, and acetylcholine, which is involved in memory and cognition. So, as estrogen levels fluctuate and eventually decline, it can disrupt the delicate balance of these neurotransmitters, which will then lead to your mood swings and irritability and difficulties with memory and concentration. On top of all of this, the psychological impact of transitioning into a new phase of your life, coupled with societal expectations and personal challenges, further exacerbates your mental health struggles. Many women during this time will come to therapy and report feeling a sense of loss of identity, right? And they need help navigating this physical and emotional changes associated with menopause during this time. So it's important that, when they seek out therapy, they begin addressing these mental health challenges during menopause, and, they seek the support they need during this transitional phase.
Yeah, definitely. I would say the most common complaint from people is that they just don't feel like themselves anymore. It's like you've been an adult woman for
Mhm.
many decades now. Like you know how to navigate your emotions, you know how to regulate your period, you know the symptoms you feel when you're about to come on your period, and then all of a sudden it's like a complete topsy-turvy, and it's just like, "Whoa, hold on now." All of a sudden like I'm not interested in being intimate with my partner and I'm just like flying
Mhm.
off the handle. And it's really tough. It does kind of feel like when you're a teenager and you're like, I'm upset, but I don't know why. Like,
Yeah.
and you just can't explain it. And you feel like no one can understand it.
Right, right. And on top of all that, people who are married to the opposite gender, it's hard, right? It's not the same as if you're married to another woman who will also be going through it and understand. When you're married to a man, the male's not going to go through this. So it's hard for them to fully understand. Obviously, they can be there to support you in any way possible, but really, it's you going through this, and that can feel isolating.
Yeah, definitely. And it's so, especially because it's associated with aging, there's so much stigma attached. Like you feel like you don't want to admit that you're going through it because you feel like you're giving up part of that youth, maybe that vitality. You know that when estrogen declines, obviously your hair and your skin will change and you will grow more body hair because you'll have more testosterone than estrogen. The balance will shift. And you just
Mhm.
feel like, am I not like a vivacious adult woman anymore? And it's like, yes, of course you are, but it's kind of that admitting that your body is going through an inevitable change and you're entering a new phase in your life. And you kind of have to just accept that role. Even if you do take treatments, which we'll talk about in a bit, your body is still not the same.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I would say the only plus side about it really is that you won't have to worry about your period anymore, which is really nice.
Yeah, that it's just you just have to go through like years of hell to get to that. But yeah.
Well, of course, though, that's like the story of women, right? Like you can't get to the treasure without having some tumultuous, long
Yeah.
journey.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Being a woman is like not great sometimes, but it can be really rewarding. You know, estrogen keeps us smart, regulated, and safe for many decades of our lives, so we can't hate it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have obviously a couple of coping strategies, just very general, guys. Obviously there are more, and I'm sure Bridget will even list more. But so for tips for managing your menopausal symptoms, regular exercise is good, balanced diet. If you're seeing a therapist, which I highly recommend, they will go through stress reduction techniques. Make sure you're getting enough adequate sleep. I know that there's also, Bridget would probably be more versed in this, but hormone therapies.
Yes, I will talk about it.
So, she'll go into it more. But basically, these lifestyle modifications overall and support for your psychological needs. Each individual will be different and your treatment plan will be different. But seeking out professional support from your doctor and a therapist is, I think, vital.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely want some support during this time. So, the medical treatment options are it's a long list, so we'll discuss it.
Mhm.
So, there's a variety of treatment options for menopause, and the one you choose is based on which symptoms are causing you the most discomfort, basically. So, unfortunately, there is not one like wonder drug that's going to treat all of your symptoms, but the most troublesome ones that you think are worth mentioning to your doctor, those are the ones we can target and try to treat. So, hormonal therapy, hormone replacement therapy, we call it HRT. So, it's very useful to treat hot flashes, prevent bone loss through osteoporosis. Estrogen can improve your hair loss, your libido, and your mood. If you still have a uterus, So you haven't had like a hysterectomy for any reason. You have to take estrogen paired with progesterone, because unopposed estrogen can predispose us to a thickened uterus lining. That's called your endometrium. And if you have a thickened endometrium, it can eventually lead to endometrial cancer. So if you have a womb still intact, you always pair your HRT, estrogen, and progesterone. If you've had a hysterectomy, you just can take the estrogen. That's fine. So these hormone replacements can be given via patches, pills, or creams. Vaginal estrogen cream helps relieve vaginal dryness and improve urinary symptoms like incontinence and recurrent UTIs. Hormone replacement therapy should be used with caution, though, because long term use, so if you use it continuously for over 10 years, it can lead to an increased risk of breast cancer. So, if you have a family or a personal history of breast cancer, this should be avoided. Similarly,
Good to know.
estrogen can cause blood clots. That's the same process by which women are more exposed to blood clots when they are pregnant. It's because of increased estrogen. Blood clots, in your limbs, your lungs, or your brain. So, if you have a family history or a personal history of clotting disorders, or if you've ever had a blood clot in your life, you should avoid taking exogenous estrogen, just because the risk of a blood clot is completely not worth it. Overall, women on HRT do report really good effects. You might have some breakthrough bleeding, unfortunately, but usually this can be controlled. So, as long as you're not in those high risk categories for like blood clots or cancer, usually people are very happy on HRT. You just don't want to be using it for over a decade. So you could also use some antidepressants. So SSRIs are given to improve mood symptoms and hot flashes, actually. So it's really common for your primary care physician to prescribe SSRIs, some antidepressants, just to overall improve your mood. We can also give things like gabapentin. So gabapentin is usually used for seizures or nerve pain. But we can also use it for hot flashes, especially for people who cannot take estrogen or who have problems sleeping. Because gabapentin, when you take it at night, can actually make you a little bit drowsy. So it can help you with the insomnia as well. You're going to want to be on vitamin D and calcium supplementation to treat and to prevent osteoporosis. It's really, really important, especially weight bearing exercises. And you want to make sure you're getting adequate, healthy fats and you're seeing the sun, as much as you can with protection, of course. But if you're doing that, then you can help prevent osteoporosis. There are homeopathic recipes, and different supplements are also really beneficial. A lot of people love homeopathic treatments for menopause. There are so many available online and in pharmacies,
Mhm.
and they're usually non damaging or non hurtful. So it's fine if you try things that are not really proven to help. But if you're thinking they're helping you, it's better than nothing. Magnesium, for example, that can support healthy sleep. Black cohosh, it's from the root of a plant and it's shown improvement in hot flashes. Flaxseed and flaxseed oil can help with night sweats. Red clover, though unfounded, is a popular natural treatment for estrogen deficiency. Wild yam is a popular alternative to HRT. Ginseng is a natural mood booster, apparently. There's a lot of research around that. St. John's wort is really common. It's like decades old for menopause. It can improve your mood and mood swings. DHEAs, so they're a hormone supplement that can ease the low libido and the hot flash symptoms. They also have a lot of research surrounding them. So DHEAs are really important. Soy and other phytoestrogen supplements relieve hot flashes. So this one's interesting. So Asian women who eat a typical Asian diet, which involves a lot of soy because of tofu, they report a lot less hot flashes compared to women in the USA with a typical Western diet. So if you were like in an East Asian country that eats a lot of soy-based products, their main concern is not hot flashes when they go through menopause, whereas in the US, that's like the top complaint. So if you have things with phytoestrogens like soy, that can actually naturally reduce your hot flashes. So those are all just like supplemental treatments and therapies you could try. It's really important, as Marissa said, though, to make sure you're trying to sleep as best as you can. You're eating a well-balanced diet and you are getting some form of exercise and seeing the sun. Overall, these are the most important things because they will naturally boost your mood and improve your overall health. So if you're doing those things, menopause may be a slightly easier transition for you. But if you're finding that it's just not enough, you should definitely seek help from your primary care physician because there are so many treatment options out there, including HRT if that's right for you. And you shouldn't just put yourself, like pigeonhole yourself and be like, oh, well, I'm going through menopause, so it's just going to suck. Because that's not true. It doesn't have to completely suck. We could try our best to ease the transition for you.
Right, right. It, definitely can help ease it. But also when you're saying like, oh, it's just meant to suck. To me, it just sounded like decades worth of like men being like, you just get over it. How many
Yeah.
times do we just have to suffer through things? Like, it's okay to speak up and get help. And if it sucks, yeah, it sucks. Let it be known. We don't have to keep it all in and be these brave soldiers that we've always been throughout other trials in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God. Like, why is it that we have to be the tough ones that just have to go through all these things? Why can't we have some more support and some more research to women's health so that we don't have to go through these things completely unmedicated and alone? If it everyone always says this, like if it was men going through it, there would be a full treatment. Like menopause would not
Right.
even be like a thing if men were going through it. So much money would be thrown at it. It would be
Oh
cured.
yeah.
Gone.
For the years that it would take to get them all through it, they'd all go away to these bachelor treatment centers and they would just live there with their guys. Who you kidding?
Yeah, exactly. It's just so crazy that it's like, well, you're in your 50s now, so you're old and just suck it up. But it's like, actually, that's actually very, like, still really young. Like, people in their 50s still have whole, like, full lives and they do a lot. People work until they're 70 something now. You might have a very active sex life. You might still be raising children. So you can't just be like, oh, well, time for me to give up now, I guess.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. Also, if you are going the route of seeking support of a therapist, I not only do I highly recommend it, but I'd encourage you to. Like, we also, different practices and organizations and nonprofit ones as well, host certain groups specific to things that people may be going through, right? So there may be, just like there is a postpartum group, there may be menopause for women group, right? So you can reach out to whoever's in your local area, a therapist or an organization, and be like, do you have any groups, support groups specific to this, what I'm going through, menopause? And I feel like that can be a huge help, a great help, because not only are you going to bond with these women and get the mental health support you need, but these are women you're also going to maybe want to hang out with outside of group, right? And that can be very vital to your life to have someone in your life going through the exact same thing.
Definitely. That's so important to connect with people and feel like you are part of something bigger and you're not alone in experiencing these symptoms. 100%.
Hmm. So, I mean, I highly encourage you to seek that out if that's what you choose. And also, I was listening, obviously, Bridget, to your list of things. Most I knew, but some I didn't. I was very impressed. It seems like we do have a lot of options now. Whether you choose like the medical or the homeopathic, like Bridget was saying, I think both are great options. And you should absolutely explore those.
Yeah, there is a lot of stuff out there now. And don't let, like, if you have a doctor who's like, oh, don't try that, it doesn't work. Don't let someone tell you that. You should try for yourself as long as it's something that is not interacting with a medication you're taking. So it's potentially dangerous. If you have a
Hmm.
clean bill of health, you're not on any other medications, you are free to try whatever supplements are recommended to you and figure out for yourself, do I like this? Did it help me at all? Like, for instance, rose hip oil, I feel like I actually forgot to list that one. That is a really common. I think it's for vaginal dryness, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of women love that. And you know what? Like, who cares if there's not technically analyzed data suggesting, peer-reviewed articles saying it definitely works. If you have a group of women who are saying, hey, it worked for me, you may as well try it.
Yeah, why not? It's not like you said, as long as it doesn't interact with any medications. I mean, it's no harm in trying, right? Makes you feel good, even if it might have a placebo effect. If you're feeling good and it's boosting your confidence, that's a win in my book.
Exactly. Yeah. Even if it is a placebo, definitely try it because it's all about making you feel better because
Hmm.
you need to ultimately go through this transition with your head held high and be like, you know what, I'm doing everything I can and I feel a lot better about myself and I'm not scared.
Right, right. I mean, it's definitely a huge transition, and you and I obviously have not gone through it. I think the only people we know are relatives, our mother, obviously, maybe some aunts. But we've seen, right? We've seen firsthand, especially with our mother, the things that
Yeah.
she's had to go through and the changes.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't look fun.
Definitely not, definitely not. Oh
um,
God.
Yeah. But you know what else actually like totally bothers me is like the typical, like if your parent, if your mother gets a bit irritable and she is maybe in her 40s, late 40s, and someone just goes, "What, she going through menopause?" Like, no,
Mm,
maybe I just fucking hate you.
maybe you're the problem.
Like, maybe I just don't like you and I'm just in a mood today. Did it ever occur to you that I'm an
Mhm.
adult with a range of emotions and I might be a
Mm,
bit ticked off today because you're pissing me off? I really hate that. Like, oh, she must be going through the change. Like, shut
yes.
up.
They do that with periods though too. Are you on your
Yes.
period? Like, how about you suck all day every day? Doesn't matter if I'm on my period or not.
My period is irrelevant. You're an asshole.
Yeah, like trust me, it only gets set off by assholes. It's an asshole meter and it's detecting
Yeah.
you. So get out of my face.
I just cannot stand that. Like, who in their
Yeah.
mind thinks they have a right to ever even make a comment like that out loud? What if I
Mhm.
am on my period? Or what if I am going through menopause? It is none of your concern. So, how about you just mind your
Mhm.
manners and leave me alone?
Oh my god. You know what though? It's interesting that as society, even as progressed as we are, that has always been very comfortable to blame, right? Men have always felt very comfortable saying that, and even some women just saying it, like as if like no
Mhm.
big deal. It's definitely her period, or definitely the big change. Like, why did you feel so confident to say that out loud to my face?
Yes, I completely agree. It's like, who do you think you are that it's an appropriate comment to make? Like, it's something very personal and it has to do with your health and your body, and no one has a right to that except you. It's so inappropriate. I really can't stand it. I actually like cringe when I hear people say it. God, it really drives me crazy.
I know. Well, because to me, it sounds like they're putting you down and giving you like this big excuse. But to me, it's like maybe it's a superpower. Like, I create life. What do, bitch?
Mhm. Good point.
Like,
Very good point.
like honestly, like you can't create life. So what would have happened to you guys? Yeah, nothing.
Mhm. Drives me crazy. I don't want to like embarrass anyone, but like, Marissa said, we have family members obviously who've gone through menopause and are, friends, parents, friends, mothers, and our mother, of course, she's 61 now.
Oh,
So she
first of all,
obviously has.
Bridget, you know she is 32, and you know she's gonna come after you for that. She's 32,
Yeah.
everybody.
Marissa's 33, but our mother's 32.
It's amazing. I don't know how it happened. She's very lucky.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, that is weird how that happened. Um, so like I won't, divulge anything too personal, but I will say that no, it's not a fun time, obviously. Like, it was really difficult for everyone because you're grappling with this new mood, almost like this new personality sometimes. It's you know how you are like in the middle of July and you're like,
Mm,
I'm hot and I'm annoyed and maybe I'm hungry. Like, imagine that, but actually your hormones also being haywire. Like, it's just not a good experience. I just want to say, like, if you're going through these changes, you are definitely seen and heard, and everyone is right there with you. So please, please seek out some support from family, friends, doctors, therapists, anyone. Like, and just know that you're not alone because. Ultimately, being a woman is like being part of a sisterhood, and we do want to be there for each other. So there's just no shame in being like, actually, I'm going through this. It's really hard, and I think I need some help.
absolutely. And I think, like I said before, if you end up in a support group or even just a really great personal therapist, you may feel entirely different. Like it may be really good help for you. And just like she said, the sisterhood, if you end up in a group, it's really needed, and especially sometimes during this time, depending on what age it comes on for you, you might be an empty nester, right? So if you're making friends with these people in these groups, maybe it's a perfect time to travel with your newfound sisterhood, like find you again. And I think it could be really, really good time. You could turn a bad time into a really good time.
Yeah, definitely. You know what helps with that? I find alcohol.
Yes, yes. As long as you guys are not operating a motor vehicle, go for it.
Yeah, if you want to really flip a bad time to a good time pretty quickly, I have something for you.
Well, let's just say we're not condoning that. If anyone is struggling, please seek help if you are struggling with alcohol, addiction. But
Yeah.
for others who are not struggling and love a little girls' night thrown with a little bit of fun, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, please. So, just to kind of like recap, obviously there's no need to be embarrassed. It's a natural process that we all experience. We need to speak up and talk to our doctors about what we're experiencing to lessen the stigma and encourage more research to help ease our symptoms because women's health is often brushed under the rug. So, the more we make our voices heard, the more noise we make, then the more research will be done and the more treatment options will be made available for us. For centuries, women's health has been largely anecdotal and shared community knowledge. And menopause can be the same. We need to share with each other instead of feeling shame and pass down our stories from one generation to the next, and hopefully eventually our voices are actually heard and someone cares enough to do real medical research and not just try to like put a band-aid on menopause for us.
I agree. 100% agree. So this week obviously has been a shorter episode. You'll have to forgive us. With me being a mom and her being an expecting mother, we did take some time to be with our families, enjoy Mother's Day. Bridget also has been having crazy work hours. For all those who are just tuning in and didn't listen in the beginning, obviously Bridget is now in the UK with her husband. So there is a time difference on top of her working in hospital all the time, being a super woman that she is. So we kept this week light for you guys.
Yeah. We tried to make this just like a more palatable conversational type thing. Let us know if this was useful to you or anyone you know. Please let us know suggestions. If you like our content, if you don't like our content, what you want to hear more of in the future. We are so open to Q&A sessions, or just taking your ideas and running with them. So please let us know what you want to hear.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you as always for tuning in. We appreciate every single one of our listeners, especially since we really thought it was just going to be like our mom. So we've really been blown away by the support. We see the numbers behind the screen; they keep going up, and we're just thank you so much, honestly.
Yeah, your support means everything. Obviously, we're here to help, kind of educate you guys if that's what you want. If you want to learn, that's what we're here for. So, without you guys, we would have nothing. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Please subscribe. All of our socials are at Psychotic PY. So, you can find us on all of the socials and YouTube.
Wow, that's how much Bridget is not involved in social. Bridget, you missed it. at
Oh,
at Psychotic PY podcast. You forgot the podcast part.
oh, you know what? I was like, this is feeling a bit short. At Psychotic PY Podcast. Yes, I was close.
I'm not even going to edit this out because I want everybody to know that you are not tech savvy.
I'm not. I'm so bad with technology. This is only like the last few episodes I've understood how to hook up my own mic without being like, help.
We would start a show and she'd be like, Ted!
Yeah. Oh my God. So embarrassing. But I'm just like, I don't know. I'm apparently like a 90-year-old in a 29-year-old's body.
Accurate. 100% accurate. That's okay. Well, signing off again is Marissa and Bridget. And please subscribe, like, follow, especially on YouTube. That even helps us more at Psychotic PY Podcast.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.